How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. This is a non-typical occurrence. Usually when we're doing the rolling CB interviews, it's done live via CB radio, but today I called you up on the telephone. That day your CB radio wasn't cooperating with you, and so we had to kind of just roll with it, and of course we got some footage.
Yeah, the CB was, it was in there and functioning, but not functioning to the point I would have felt comfortable talking to you, and you probably would have had a little bit of a hard time even recording with it. So this will work even better.
Tell me about the history of the truck.
It's a 99 Peterbilt 379, and it had the 3406E model Caterpillar engine in it, which is what I wanted. 18-speed transmission, 336 rear ends. This truck was something that a friend of mine had, and he was looking at getting out of the truck. I wasn't really looking to get the truck and put it into use right away or anything, but I told him the same thing. It was a truck that, attracted me from a standpoint of it was the right age, it had the right, specs as far as motor, transmission, rear ends, just set up kind of from a basic standpoint the way I would want one, and that was back in the fall of 2012. Basically, not long after that, I decided to hop in it, get it on the road, and drive it just the way it was. And I did that for almost a year just to get all the mechanical bugs, or not really bugs, but I guess things that needed to be addressed out of the way. And I knew I wanted to rebuild the truck because, with that good foundation, you just don't want to let them go to waste. And I knew I could put the custom work on top of it and have what you would basically consider a new truck from head to tail.
It seemed like you had debuted the truck there at Matt's, but when we were doing the filming, you were in Florida. So between Matt's in April, what had you been doing, and where were you coming from that day, and where were you headed to?
Well, once we got done with Matt's there in Louisville, we ended up going back home, obviously, and then the next major event we had planned was the Wildwood Show. At that point, I was doing what I had been doing for the last couple of years, and that's just running between Wisconsin and Florida. And when I caught up with you, I had a whole load of the typical, I guess, suspects you would say, of a lot of cheese and milk products. Several stops down, ranging from the central part of the state, heading down into the southern end. I emptied out. We ended up going up for the show and did the show, partied hard for a few days, and then loaded up after that and headed back up to Wisconsin.
Now, what was cool about that whole week was being able to follow some of the guys around that were coming into the area for the truck show, being able to tag along with them to the drops that they were making. That day, when you and I met up, we got to see some of the different aspects of what you typically do when it comes to offloading refrigerated products. You were doing some dock work. What was that dock work that you're doing?
The public knows what we do from a standpoint of get in the truck and drive it around and take what they need to fill the shelves, so to speak, but nobody really gets the inside scoop of what we do other than just drive the truck. And so it was nice to be able to to get you into that type of situation where you can give them a better idea. We typically spend a lot of our time waiting because the places are busy. There's a lot of delays, and it makes our job a little bit challenging. And our time as drivers is very valuable, especially as the regulations get more and more strict and they impose more and more of them on us. So we have appointments, we have times for deliveries. You spend a little time waiting after you check in. They will let you know when they have an available dock door. At that point, you get to go do your thing.
Hello? It is. Door 36. Got it. We'll do it right now. Thank you.
There's a middleman involved, and either you have to unload it yourself or you have to pay to have the product unloaded, which that's a whole nother subject that I could get into, but it's not I don't look at it as a very on the up and up part of the business, I guess, and the prices they charge are very high. You don't know if they're going to unload it right away or wait an hour, or I've been in places for half a day. And when, like I said, you have a tight schedule, if I do it myself, I know how fast I can do it. We were into a dock door fairly quickly once we got in, checked into the facility. Then you and I went inside, and at that point I have the equipment on the trailer to unload the product myself with a pallet jack. The process of wheeling the product off of the trailer, putting it on the dock, the types of things that I ship, it could be 3 or 4 different types of cheese on one pallet that the receiver needs each type of cheese separated so they can store it in the proper location in the warehouse. So it's up to me to take the pallets apart, separate the boxes by product, and get everything so that the receiver can come, run their scan of the product with a handheld, typically a handheld type of scanner. They put a receive sticker on it after they've looked at it, counted it, verified it, checked the temperature of it, and from there it goes back into their warehouse and they sign my paperwork saying all is good, everything's received, and I'm on my way.
It was interesting to see what goes on because most of the time from the parking lot view you see trucks backed up to the doors of a warehouse and you don't see what's going on the inside. Tell me about the build from the beginning of picking the colors and the color scheme, the whole process.
As far as the color goes, I knew I wanted a blue of some sort, and I wanted to two-tone it with the white. The color came from, believe it or not, I was actually sitting at a bar in Miami. A guy came into the place I was at on a Harley Davidson, and when I turned around, his whole motorcycle was that color. And as soon as I saw it, I said, yeah, in my head, that's it. That's what I wanted. And I asked him what color it was, and he told me it came from Harley Davidson. He said the name of the color was Cool Blue Pearl. And with a lot of white on the truck, I knew that a white trailer trimmed with the same blue would look really, really good. At least I thought it would. And I wanted it to be clean and simple. And all the comments I've gotten on the truck and people's initial reactions to the truck, those two words come up all the time: clean and simple. And actually, the guy that I am leased to as an owner-operator, Chad, he's the one who found a picture of a truck with that scheme, not those colors, but with that paint scheme. And I said, yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted, because I think stripes and zigzags and all sorts of different lines have been beaten to death with, we always talk about there's only so many things you can do to be different. Everybody's done so many things now. And it was just a simple way to make it look really slick and clean. And we did initial work on the truck in our own home shop. Chad Barry is the mastermind behind a lot of the mechanic and basically the grunt work. getting the truck ready to go to get the paint and the customization going, although he does all of that stuff and better than anybody I've ever seen. And when it got done, that image I told you about in my head of what I wanted it to look like was exactly what I got, and it was just there. And when I saw it, yeah, you can't hardly not look at it and say, wow, yeah, it's amazing.
What do you stretch it out to?
It was factory 270-inch wheelbase, and we took it out to 312-inch wheelbase.
What are some of the custom parts that you're running on the truck now?
We redid the front suspension, put the 12-gauge air ride kit on it, put the 20-inch Valley Chrome bumper on it, Jones front fenders, Valley Chrome visor with painted cab lights on the roof. We've got FiberTech cab and sleeper panels, the extensions, so to speak. We put rivets in them, so it actually looks like it came from the factory that way. Monster lids over the steps, 12-gauge mirror brackets. Lincoln Chrome set us up with a big, actually those are 122-inch tall, 8-inch diameter flat cut exhaust pipes on it. Going towards the back end, then we got all new fenders, all from FiberTech as well. The hump fenders over the drives, those also are the same fenders that are on the trailer. New fuel tanks from Alumatank with the flush-mounted aircraft filler necks on them, which we obviously had painted. All this is painted except with the chrome 8-inch diameter tank straps. The breathers, those are Vortex breathers, and a lot of these parts came from 4-State Truck down in Joplin, and I just had them go ahead and chop the screens on them, so we slammed them down as well. And with all that painted and the way the truck sat, everything, it just made it look, you know, what I was going for, which is what everybody goes for. And that's just, yeah, long and low, you know. And got the deck plates fabricated, aluminum 2-piece deck plates, new fifth wheel, a retractable release handle from Joe's. Yeah, the rear light bar on the back of the tractor, that was custom made by Bruner's Fabrication in Missouri as well. The whole thing, just over 370 lights. Not a lot of exterior lights. Again, with the clean theme, the trailer has exterior lighting, but the focus of the lighting, of course, is just the on-the-ground lighting, which obviously you see more and more every day. And 53-foot with 12-foot spread on the axles, slid all the way to the back. Electric dumps on both axles, and a lift on the front axle. But the entire running gear is completely enclosed with the aluminum sheet metal, and the landing legs and landing gear all enclosed as well, and sheet metal, clean and sleek all the way around. The whole thing is on 22.5 Low Pro tires, just under 80 feet from bumper to bumper all together. So,
tell me about the interior, starting from the floor and working your way up through the dash panel and up to the ceiling and even the seats and everything else.
Everything got stripped out. The floor, as well as most of the interior. I mean, when I'm doing interiors, it's all usually rock wood. And so we wanted wood, but we wanted to paint it. So we've brought the design of the outside into the interior of the truck, also onto the floor. So it's rock wood floor that we painted, and everything from the seat bases, the shifter, to most of the trim on the dash, all from rock wood. At that point, the dash was, of course, painted. The dash panels also were made by Carl at Rockwood. And with the blue and white truck, we ended up doing all digital Teltec gauges to give it a really sharp, appearance, and just a neat instrument package to look at when you're driving down the road. And the seats we had stripped and reupholstered. At night, we lit it up with blue LEDs, whether it was floor lighting under the dash or overhead watermelon lights. You could turn them all on, and with all that blue, it was almost like looking into an aquarium at night. People loved it. So I call it a happy place because it's so bright, and it's a lot of fun to sit there and drive something like that when you have all of that inside the truck.
I tell you what, yeah, that would be anyone's happy place if they had the opportunity to sit
right.
in that truck and run a couple 100 miles in that truck. That would be great. How did you get into trucking, Ryan?
I'm a first-generation trucker. I've never had anybody in the family that was in the industry at all, but I've always been fascinated with things that move. As I was going through college, I just by coincidence ended up getting acquainted with a guy who owned a small trucking company. I just got talking to him and basically said, hey, how hard of a deal is it to do that, to drive around in one of those things? And he said, well, no problem at all, really. And I said, well, would you ever need any help? Of course, not with any experience, or I didn't even have a license yet. And he said, yeah, absolutely. We can always use guys just shagging trailers around or anything to help out around, even if you're not going very far. And they ended up giving me a truck and a trailer, and I took that out to a great big open parking lot on a Saturday afternoon and drove around in circles and backed up and, just taught myself kind of how to at least maneuver around and pass a driving test. 98% of the job of what truck driving is nothing but you have to learn it on the road. There's nothing that can teach you how to deal with the stuff that drivers deal with every day. Didn't get into an owner-operator position until 2004 and got into it full-time and just said, this is it, this is what I want to do all the time, and started my own little business and got me where I am now, and really, really good for me and a great fit. And yeah, I'm the first in the family, but I guess somebody has to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So how many years total would you say that you've been trucking for then?
About 19.
If someone has the opportunity to learn that way, then go for it.
I was able to teach myself just enough to get going, but as I said, it's learning on the road, and trucking is probably one of the most extreme cases of how true that is on the job learning or training or trial by fire and all that, because you're by yourself. You don't have anybody sitting there telling you, okay, well, here's what you should have done, or here's what you need to prepare for. It's real time. It's happening right now, and you just learn it as you go. And it worked out well for me, that's for sure.
What are some of the goals for the upcoming truck show season?
This year is going to be more of a work year for me, and the truck, it's done the show circuit, so to speak, and now it's going to do a rolling show. The show for me is going down the highway with the people that go past you, and you can read the people's lips in the car when they go by, and they, just say, wow, or nice truck, or, even though you can't hear them, you can read their lips and see how big their eyes are. And that's the truck show for me, and this year is going to be more back to, back to work, I guess is the best way to put it. So it'll be out doing its thing and just rolling down the road for everybody to see. So,
well, that sounds good. Well, Ryan, it's been awesome being able to talk to you.
It was great to hang out with you for the day and give you a chance to not only see the truck, but as you said, maybe shed light on parts of the trucking world that most people don't know about or don't get to see. And so I really appreciate you wanting to come along and check it out. I hope you had as much fun as I did. So
certainly did. We'll see you soon.
You bet.